We're here. There we go.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Everyday Riches Show. I am so glad that you are here with Jason and I. And today we are here, just Jason and I. And we are so excited to just have a great conversation with just us. And to just hear some words of wisdom and just some fun things that are going on in our lives, things that Jason is working on, things that I'm working on. And you know what? We're going to do it ourselves.
Yeah. You know what? These are always end up being some of my favorite episodes. They're my favorite to go back and listen to. No offense against their guests, because we have some incredible guests, but I love just going to where we go with these episodes. And I know we've gotten some great feedback from our listeners on these episodes too. So so it's always nice when you texted me the other day. It's like, what do we do? It's like, you know what? Let's just go ad lib. I love let's just wing it. Let's just wing it. There's so much going on in life. Everyday riches, right? Everyday
riches. The thing is, today I do want to start out with one thing. Today is St. Nicholas Day. You know, on the National Day calendar, today is St. Nicholas Day.
Okay.
And, you know, like he was the inspiration for like the modern day Santa Claus. But he was a real person. And he was born in 270 AD, died in 343 AD. So he was alive in like the 3rd century. And here we are in the 21st century, 22nd century, whatever century we're in. And, you know, and we're still celebrating one of the things that he was the inspiration for, because he would go around to, and just, you know, work with the poor, and he would anonymously give gifts. But what he did was he used to slip gold coins into people's shoes or stockings that were hung by the fireplaces because to dry. And so he was the inspiration for that. But talk about legacy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? And
that's so cool, because you're right. Like, he wasn't probably thinking that he was going to be, you know, this legend all these years later.
He was a bishop in the church. And he was born into he lived to be 73.
Wow.
Which is, for back then, I mean, they didn't have anything like, you know, medicine and stuff like that, but they had the old remedies.
Yeah.
They had the old remedies. So for him to live till 73, but then I should have looked up to see when he was canonized. But so he was a bishop in the church. But that's what he was known for. And isn't that cool? So we're celebrating that the St. Nicholas Day today.
That's awesome. I never even knew it was a day. That's really cool.
I just knew it was a day, and he was the inspiration for the modern day Santa Claus.
That's so cool. You learn something every day. That's awesome.
You learn something new every day. But one of the things that it brought to mind is that he didn't care what other people thought.
Yeah.
And we all have gifts and talents within us. And are we using them to the best of our ability, or are we stifling them because we are caught up in someone else's expectation and label of us?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And one of the quotes that I just read, and I'm going to read it, "You've been assigned this mountain to show others that it can be moved."
Yes.
So what are you doing? And that's when I think of this show that we've been on, you know, you and I have been on it 1.5 years already.
Yeah.
And our listenership is growing. We're getting more comments. We're getting people that are loving our stuff. That says that we're on the right track.
Yeah.
So you might not want to be a co-host, a podcast host, but you know what? What's your gift? What's your talent? What is in you that you feel called to share?
Well, and it's like it's doing the things like whether it's a podcast host or whether it's putting candy and like in goodies and stockings in people's homes. It's doing things that people could judge you for that.
Right.
People could judge you. I had a podcast guest yesterday, and he said we live in a world, in a kind of a cynical way. He said we live in a world where people don't let you forget and they constantly judge you. And I said, but we also live in a world where people love a good comeback story. I'm like, we live in a world where like when we love that person that was down here and they rose to the top because that person gives us hope that we can do
Right.
it too. Right. And so it's that same thing along that same lines, there's the podcast, Grant, Grant is phenomenal. I should have you on Coffee and Grit again. It'd be so awesome to have you in person on Coffee and Grit. That'd be phenomenal.
Yes, we'll do it.
Let's plan that. That'd be amazing. And then you can Grant in person. Grant's a super good guy. He's my studio engineer, so he does all the technical stuff. I don't have to worry about any of that, Barbara. It's the most amazing thing in the world. I just show up to the studio, and then he does all the stuff in the background. But there's this football player, Geno Smith. He's a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. And he was a first-round pick, but he didn't really pan out and kind of had a bust of a career, and everybody wrote him off that he was a bust. And then this year he's had a big comeback, and he's been one of the top quarterbacks. And so his team's winning, and they're in the playoffs. They didn't expect the Seahawks to be a winning team because long story, they gave their Russell Wilson, they traded him. He was their franchise quarterback. They expected them to have a bad season. Lo and behold, they're having a good season. Geno Smith is having this incredible season. And at the end of the game, the sideline reporter said to Geno, they all wrote you off. Everybody wrote you off. He was like, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. That's the difference. He was like, I didn't write back. And
I like, love that.
Isn't that the best? I didn't write back. They wrote me off. I didn't write back.
I didn't write back. And exactly, because it always comes back for me is that God has perfect timing. And it's for such a time as this that you and I are talking about this. There is somebody out there that might be listening today that you need to hear that your gift and talent is important.
Yeah.
Or this show, I mean, this is going to go up on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. This show is going to go up on YouTube a year from now. Somebody might be listening to this show going,
who's the one?
You've been assigned, I've been assigned this mountain, and I'm going to show others that it can be moved.
Yeah.
And that is what is why it's all synergy. It all works together.
And I think it's that I think people have this grandiose vision of like impacting so many. If you can keep it down to like, who's that one? Who's that one person? And it may not be today. We're live on YouTube right now. We're going live. I can't see right now how many people are listening live. But the person that might be impacted may not be listening right now.
Exactly.
And if you think about it that way, go out and do that thing that you love to do, because along the way, you're going to impact somebody.
Exactly.
If it's just that one person.
Right. And it's just, it's like I've been doing some, like I'm working with, getting into working with, baby boomers and it was funny. I keep saying baby boomers, and yet a friend of mine said, well, yeah, there's a few of us Gen X's that are feeling the same way, is that they have no idea of who they are outside of their title. We've got this whole generation of people that have come up under other people's expectations of them.
Yes.
So we've got this whole generation that have picked their college career. They've picked their, they picked, well, let's start with, they picked their major.
Yep.
They picked their college career. They came out of school with debt up the yin yang, can't find a job in their field because so many of them are, well, you don't have experience, but they can't get experience because nobody will hire them.
Yeah.
And so now we've got whole bunches of people, this whole generation of people that are now facing retirement, and they realize that they have hated their job.
Yeah.
They have been living this, well, this isn't what I should have been doing. They've been and not that they intentionally squandered their gift and talent. They weren't aware of their gift and talent, or
Yes,
given
yeah, yeah,
permission to use their gift and talent.
yeah, yeah.
Like my friend Barb, she was like, she said, yeah, I was brought up that you do this, 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 and she's an accountant. She said, when I got to be 40, I said, I hate this. I
Yeah.
don't want to do this. So now she's creating the Diamond Factor Experience Network.
It's
And
so awesome.
but we were talking about her mom, and her mom about Croat. You're too old to start. You picked your lane. You're too old. You're too old to start something new. Well, let me tell you, and I'm talking to somebody here. You
Yeah,
are never
never too
too
old.
old to start something new. You are never too old to start something new. And so Barb has. And I'm so proud of her. And now she's become a visibility expert. She teaches people how to get visible.
So awesome.
That's her gift and her talent.
Yeah.
She knows how to do it. It's like you and I, like, we love being speakers. I love being a speaker. Speaking of one thing that I'm doing, I'm part of a group called the Deluxe Network program.
Okay.
And I think I told you last month that I did 2 workshops for them.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
On going from mindset, having your mind shift, and then going to mind flow, because life is supposed to be about ease and flow. We're supposed to enjoy our lives. And if you're not having fun, people, there's something wrong.
Mhm.
You don't have to have fun all the time, but
Yeah.
in general, you should be enjoying your life.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they have asked me back for this month. So tomorrow I'm doing, and I have the link, and I'm going to put it, I'll send it to you, and you can put it it's good. I'll put a link. Well, because it's going out today, but it's tomorrow and next week.
Yeah.
On, mindset to mind shift, part 2, mindset to mind flow, part 2. And it is so fun to do that, because people need to hear that your life can change in a nanosecond.
Yep.
Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just do it like Nike. Just be like Nike.
Just do it. I mean, and that's why you were telling me before the show started that one of your clients is doing really well. That's one of the things you've helped them with.
Oh yeah, and it's like it's finding the right people, right? It's hiring the skill set, the personality, the problem solving. Like there's a definitive type of person that I look for. A heart-centered person, somebody who wants to solve problems, somebody that is a communicator, somebody like they have common sense. And how do you measure that, right? But it's one of those things that you can kind of flesh out in conversation. So hire these 2 awesome salespeople, and they're just out there crushing it. And it's like creating problems that are good problems, because the other salespeople weren't bringing this many deals in. So now the person that does all the furniture quotes is like not getting them out quick. And because so it's making adjustments along the way in handling that workload, and it's
right.
But going back to, you were talking about living that happy life and whatnot. And it's one thing is like finding, and what our show is even about, is finding what are you grateful for,
right? Start there.
Like knowing what does light you up, what is going on is good. There's something good going on in what you're talking about. My client, and one of the cool things, and I was telling you about kind of the system process they use. My clients, they use a system called EOS. It's an entrepreneurial operating system.
Oh, okay.
And it's a whole business structure to help you grow and scale a business. And one of the really productive things is having regular cadence meetings. But every company has meetings. How many people go to meetings and it's like, that was a waste of time, or we just small talked and didn't get anything done, or hey, that was a really productive meeting, but then nothing happened because the things that we said we were going to do, we didn't go do. And the next time we show up to the meeting, we're just like, that didn't get done. And we talk about the same things. And so it's just that repeat frustration. And so there's a really cool structure to it. that prevents that from happening. And one of the first things that they do is it's called a segue, and everybody in the meeting, to get everybody flowing and focused on the positive as opposed to focusing on what's going wrong, because that's what we exist in our minds and companies
Exactly.
and in our personal lives, is what's all the things that are going wrong. We're not thinking
Right.
about the things that are going right. But if we focus on the things that are going right, can
More
we
right things will happen.
can we yeah right can we duplicate those? Can we grow more? Can we attract more? If we know what's going right, then we can, it's justifiable to say that we can purposely go out and find more of it, right? Or even
Right.
unintentionally go out there and find it, because
Right.
we know it and we can define it because we talk it out loud, and we have a regular habit of doing that. And so it's a really cool way to start out the meeting, that everybody in the meeting goes takes a turn saying something good professionally and something good personally that's happened since the last time that we met. And it's kind of interesting as you see different elements of people. I always have something. In fact, I have to like sit and kind of pare down on my way to the meeting of like, okay, what is the one thing I'm going to focus on? Because I've got all these great things that I love that's going on, right now, that I could sit and take 30 minutes of the meeting giving everybody an update about all the cool things that I have going on. And guess what? Because I recognize all those cool opportunities, more cool opportunities and more cool things are coming my way. And especially as I speak it out loud and I tell people what lights me up, right?
Exactly. So we're becoming, as we become the people that we want to attract, we're of course going to attract more of those people.
Yeah.
Or more of those things.
Yeah.
Because as we want to be more joyful, it's like one of the things that, like, I'm a woman of faith. And so every morning it's like, there's a scripture that put on the armor of God. And it's just to protect you, for your protection and for you, for things to do. And, put on your helmet that's going to protect you from the fiery darts of the naysayers.
Yeah.
We all have naysayers in our lives that are going, you're going to do what?
Yep.
We all have those. So put on your helmet that's going to protect them. And there's the breastplate that is going to protect you from just the onslaught of all the stuff that can go wrong in a day.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Things go wrong.
It's what you just said reminded me of something that I watched on Netflix a few weeks ago, and it was like a documentary, or it's like one of those biopics or whatever. And it was on T-Pain. Do you know who T-Pain is? Okay, so T-Pain, he's like this rapper, R&B singer, but he made it with auto-tune. So like his voice was like altered, like he made auto-tune really, really popular, and it went through this phase in the late late 2000s, early 2010s that it was like a really big thing and people started hating it. And anyways, T-Pain, he was a good singer. He was a fine singer, and he was a great songwriter. And so he was writing these songs, but he was trying to find a way to differentiate himself because there's so many good singers, right? And so he was going down the street one day, and he was listening to the radio, and this Cher song came on. It was like, "Do you believe in life after love, after love, after love?"
Right.
You know what song I'm talking about?
Right. Yep. Love it.
That's like, it's auto-tune. That was the first song that used this certain feature in this program called auto-tune, and she reversed the sound, and it had this like echo. It like adjusted the harmony, and it had this crazy echo. And so T-Pain was driving down the road listening to this song, and he was like, "What is that? I need to know what that is. That's the thing right there that's going to make me different." And so for the next 3 years of his life, he bought every digital program you could possibly buy. Like he said he spent hours upon hours just testing every single feature in every single audio digital program you could possibly buy and get his hands on. And then 3 years later, he's sitting at his computer and he finds this auto-tune program, and he adjusts this dial, and he runs his song through it, and he's like, "Oh my God, there it is." And he said, I shed a tear. He was like, "I sat at my computer and I cried because I knew this was what was going to differentiate me." So he gets really famous. People love this stuff. Like, he gets really famous. And so he's telling this story of he's flying on an airplane with Usher, the R&B singer Usher.
Oh yeah, Rush. I know that.
they're going to this concert, and so and T-Pain's sitting in this private jet, and Usher calls him over and is like, T, come over here. He was like, are you comfortable? Is everything going good? And T-Pain's like, yeah, like everything's going great. And he's like, great. He was like, why'd you have to go and ruin music? And he was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you using auto-tune has made it so like true singers don't get their opportunities. You've ruined music for everybody. And T-Pain said, I sat and I thought about that. And he was like, wow. He was like, did I really ruin music? He was like, I was just finding a way to like make myself famous. He's like, did I really ruin music? And he's like, that set me off. He's like, for 4 years of depression. Like he fell into depression for 4 years, thinking like I ruined music. He was embarrassed of his stuff. He didn't go out, like all these things. And like finally one day he realized, because he was like, one day he realized that I like this. And he was like, he moved on and he accepted it and he went on and he made more music and he's done just well with his life, right? He's happy more or less. But the thing they said, what helped you move on? He was like, my wife told me she liked it. And he was like, I sleep with my wife. He's like, so I could care less what anybody else thinks. Exactly. It's that one person, right? It's that one person. So it takes one person to believe in you.
Exactly. And to just know going in that somebody is going to chastise you for what you're doing.
Yes.
Someone is going to browbeat you. How dare you do that? Someone is going to do that. Like on a very small scale, I can always remember in my family, it was like, and I think I've said this before, but it's just kind of part of the conversation, I guess, is that, like professional women don't wear bright red lipstick.
Yeah. Yep.
Or pink glasses that don't match the red lipstick. Well, okay, fine. I can handle being unprofessional.
I love your pink glasses and your glittery dress.
And my glittery top.
Yeah.
Today was one of those days where it's like, you know what? I'm in the mood to be glittery. And when you can, and just that's where being your authentic self comes in.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what someone else says or someone else's expectation of you. When we become the person that we're meant to be, we will attract, like T-Pain, he's got his whole tribe that love his music.
Yeah. Yep.
He hasn't ruined it for them.
Yep.
He's invigorated it for them.
Somebody liked it. He got big somehow, right? Somebody liked it.
Exactly. There has to be, it's like in anything, there has to be an end user.
Yes.
If he had ruined music for everyone, nobody would know his name.
Right. And he was like, it was a really cool documentary. And I didn't hate T-Pain, but I wasn't really a huge fan.
You weren't a total fan.
But watching it, first off, he has a really cool personality that I was like, I'd love to hang out with that guy. But just his positive outlook about things, and just like, I love that creativity. And something he said in there was really, really cool. He said, creativity is when you take something that has a purpose and you use it for something different than that purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, so this auto-tune had something completely different. It was already being used in the music industry. He just found this one setting in this whole entire program. And he was like, creativity is when you start to alter and you take something that has a purpose and you alter that purpose.
Right. And that can apply to so many things. Yeah.
Horses, like I think of one of our guests recently had horses.
Yes.
Yeah. And I talked about Penny Wilson, who I've coached and worked with and had on my podcast. And you think about horses and how we've used horses, is really a worker animal or as transportation.
Exactly.
Right. But then you look at a horse and how it feels energy and how it processes and how it really shows us truths about ourselves that we would have never have known. So really that creativity is taking that horse that is for ever since far before us, since whenever. I don't even know when we started using horses in the way we did. but the horses have had this certain purpose all this time, and now it's being altered to be able to help veterans, to help
Oh,
cope with
yes.
PTSD, to as therapy animals, to be able
Of
to help
therapy.
people strengthen their relationships or become better communicators, or
Mhm.
like, oh, it's
Team
really
building.
cool. Team
I
building,
mean,
yeah,
a friend of mine that has that she does equine therapy, and she says we have people learn team building using
yes,
horses,
yes,
and it is so important to just like and but one of the things so often is that we get stuck in a season. So we're in a season, we're in a season, we're in a season, we're in a season. It's like, what's wrong with us, what's wrong with us? But then all of a sudden we realize that that season was just what we needed to transform ourselves into who we're supposed to become, or who we
yes,
want to become.
yes.
Just like I remember we were talking, just friends of mine, we were talking the other day, but that, after David died, I was a widow. But I can remember the day I changed my setting on Facebook to single.
Yeah,
Yes, that was my life. And that happened to me, but that's not who I am. And I'm a single woman
yeah.
of a certain age. And so now and if you like that, great. If not, well, that's okay too,
Yep.
because that comes back to putting on your armor. And if you need help sometimes, like, just you can visualize putting up like a shield, that I am not going to listen to that naysayer.
Yes.
I'm not going to listen to that naysayer. I don't have to. And if they don't like it, that's their issue.
Yep.
And you can push back, but so often people don't think that they have the strength, or they don't feel like they have to give themselves permission to do it. That's a
Yeah.
biggie.
Oh,
Give
yeah.
yourself permission to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's not me anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You look at we've talked about Thomas Edison before, and how many times it took
Yes.
him to do the light bulb, and how many probably naysayers he had. I don't know if we talked about Sylvester Stallone
Yeah. I mean,
in Rocky.
he couldn't get anybody to
I forgot out what the exact number of how many
rejections he had, because
people
they didn't
rejected
want,
him.
because he was ugly. They said he
Because
was
he was
ugly.
ugly. He was ugly. He was ugly. Because not only I never knew this until I'd actually stumbled across Tony Robbins telling the Rocky story.
The Rocky
I never
story.
knew that Sylvester Stallone wrote the movie.
Yes.
So I've watched the movies. I'm a sports guy, so I've liked
Yeah.
the movies, but I wasn't like, it's kind of something that takes you that deeper level of appreciation. When I
Right.
heard the Rocky story and realized that this guy was flat broke, literally, weeks before finally selling the script to Rocky,
Right.
sold his dog at a
Sold
party
his
store
dog.
parking lot so he could eat food.
Yeah.
Like, right, sold his
Yeah.
best friend in the whole entire world, sold his dog, and a few weeks later finally sold the script for Rocky, and like took a
The rest
bath
is
on
history.
it, because
Yeah.
they literally wouldn't pay him. He had to write in, like, he had to take shares of what the movie made, which actually probably turned out much better for him. If they would have paid
Right.
him versus
Right.
taking shares on how much that movie actually made.
Oh, we'll have to look up and just see how much the Rocky movies have made.
Oh man.
I mean, it's just, yeah, it is just absolutely amazing. Some of the things that people have said, well, that's not going to work. Well, it's like, look at the athletes that broke when Roger Bannister broke the 1 minute mile,
yeah.
or the 4 minute mile.
Yeah.
No, the human body can never run faster than that. And within a couple of weeks after Roger Bannister doing it, how many other athletes did it?
Absolutely.
It's because it's like they were given permission. Roger Bannister said, well, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
And look at,
and he broke it.
And
And the really cool thing is, like, he broke it, and he wasn't even in the perfect conditions. Like, it was a super windy, cold day.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot there's a series of things that went wrong for him that day, and he still ended up breaking that record. And then right after that, I want to say like 20 people within the
Oh,
next 2 weeks
I
ended up
think it
breaking
was like
that.
about 18 or 20 people did the same thing in the next tournaments.
But nobody talks about those people. They talk about
No,
Roger Bannister
but they
because Roger
definitely,
Bannister is the one that broke it, even though they broke it reasonably, close after them.
you're right.
For some reason, this doesn't show me Rocky 1, but Rocky 2 grossed 200 million, Rocky 3
Wow.
270, Rocky 4 300 million. So you're looking at something that the franchise probably brought in over $1 billion of revenue.
Oh, yeah. And
a billion
all of
dollars.
the spin-offs,
That's what I
all
mean,
the
is all the spin-offs.
spin-off stuff.
Yeah, that's not going into Creed and all that kind of stuff. Like you're looking at a franchise of movies that brought in over $1 billion of revenue.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean,
Yeah. To a
on
guy who
something
sold his dog.
to a guy that sold his dog in the parking lot. It's a really interesting story. He ended up buying that dog back, and yeah, like he ended up buying that dog back for like $10,000. Plus, he
Yeah.
gave the guy a part in the movie.
Yeah.
Like he was
Right.
the guy was an extra in the movie
Yeah.
Rocky.
Yeah. And isn't that fun? It's like the movie Field of Dreams. Have you ever been to the Field of Dreams?
I have not. I need to
Jason,
go.
sometime you're going to have to go. The
I do.
last time that we were there, I mean, we went and there were and almost every day you will find baseball players there.
Oh
Almost every
wow.
day. Yeah. And so the day that we were there, there was two of them from the Philadelphia farm team. And they
Okay.
were out there and they were playing with us. We played ball.
That's crazy.
And it was just such fun but one of the things that sometimes leave well enough alone. That field is exactly the same as in the movie.
Wow.
They haven't commercialized it.
Yeah.
And that's the draw. So that's the fine line. And yet that franchise of that movie has made millions. People come from all over the world still to go to that field.
It's a sign. This has been brought up to me a few times in the past couple of months, and it hasn't in a really long time. I love that movie. I'm a huge baseball fan, just sports fan in general.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome, and it's really cool to know that it's not commercialized like that. Because a lot of that stuff, you see the field, but then around it is all this like
still the cornfields.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Still the cornfields, and it was like, wow, just keep it. Some things you have to keep. Because so what happens so often, like this poor guy, T-Pain, he could have thrown out it all.
Yeah.
But he kept, I mean, yes, he went into a depression and stuff, but he came out of it and then realized, you know what? It's okay to keep this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to conform. So often, that's what happens to people.
Yep.
Is they're so caught up in what other people think, or they're caught up in the keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, but then we tie it back into like even why would anybody be intrigued to watch T-Pain in this whole story and him talking about his depression? It ties back to somebody out there is listening to that is look, where's their depression like a scarlet letter,
Yes.
and they're so ashamed by it, thinking that nobody else has gone through it. And and so and my guest yesterday was talking about that aspect of having that depression. It's like, again, we've all been through it. Like I've been there, so
we've all been there.
We can all relate to what that feels like. I don't want to say you're not unique, but you're not unique in that, like, in going through this alone. We've all been through there, and it's not an embarrassment because we've all been there. We can all relate to it, and people want to hear that you've pushed through that.
Right. And
it gives them hope.
And it shows up differently for everybody.
Yeah.
I'll tell them myself. One of my things is that when I am going into overwhelm, if I've taken on too much, if I've just been kind of trying to do too much stuff and all of that kind of stuff, it'll come out as, well, I'm depressed because my desk is full of stuff. and my desk is full of stuff because I'm depressed.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
And what came first, the chicken or the egg? And that's exactly if we get, I always call it just that negative loop, that you're caught in that negative loop, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Before I learned all of this, I would be stuck. Jason, I can tell you, I would be stuck in that loop for months.
Mm-hmm.
And it colored everything. And so consequently, that's when a lot of my health issues came about. Yeah. Because when you are your body, we have 37.2 trillion cells in our body. Every one of them is listening to your thoughts.
Yep.
So when I would be caught in that negative loop and couldn't get out of it, well, that's when my health started deteriorating too, and I had all the health issues. Well, then when I started to say, okay, fine, yeah, no, we knew this can't go on. I mean, I just can't go on like this. That's when you start over. And now, I mean, I feel better now in my 70s.
Yeah.
Than I did in my 40s. I feel better now in my 70s than I did in my 60s.
That's so awesome.
And so awesome. But it starts with recognizing where you are. Now I can laugh about it, but back then it was more of a big scale. It affected everything. It affected how I treated my children. It affected how I treated my husband. It affected me. I mean, but the thing is too, I was really good at putting on a show. Nobody ever saw it. You're not depressed. Huh. And so then how can you be depressed? You're so outgoing. Yeah, well, but inside I was dying. And exactly how I had to put on the show, because I was the outgoing one of the family, and I was the one that was the life of the party, and that was my persona. So the times where I just couldn't, it's like the guy from Mercy Me, one of the songs, he said, I stand on this stage night after night telling people it's going to be all right, but how do I sing when nothing's going right in my life? It's kind of
yeah.
And so he wrote a song about it, and it is absolutely, it's an absolutely an amazing song. And I'll go back to that song when I feel myself starting to go into that, because I don't care how old you are or what you're doing, you're going to have those moments of going back into that darker. We all have it.
You all have it. Yeah. If you haven't listened to this episode yet, Sean McGraw, it's Clear Eyes, Full Hearts Can't Lose is my last episode, actually.
Okay, I'll do it again.
You'll love it. You'll love this guy. Super motivational. But he had said, in our minds, we're fighting a war. This is not a battle. He was like, a battle gives you the impression that this may come to an end. No, a war is always existed. He was like, we could be, we can be at the top of our game and fall into that hole and fall on that depression. And he talks about his layers and how he fills his buckets and protects himself and from falling into those traps. And he talks about mind, body, and spirit. And it's just a really, really good episode.
Yeah. And that's with me every morning now. Very seldom do I miss. It's like I mentally put on my armor. I'm going to protect my head. I'm going to put on my shield so that people can't hurt me, or that to protect your heart.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that we need to have a tender heart. However, we also need to protect our tender heart. Put on a shield to protect your heart from the naysayers and put on the shoes of peace. Let's get along. But we have to realize that there is a total battle. The battle has been there since the beginning of time. Good and evil, black and white. There's the two sides. But I think what happens is that people try to straddle the two sides.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's
that's where they
it's
run
the
into
two
trouble.
wolves, right? If we,
The
I don't know
two-
if we told this story, the two wolves, the grandson asked the grandpa, about life, and he was like, inside we have two wolves that are battling and fighting. And the grandson says, well, who wins? And he was like, whichever one you feed, because
Right.
you have the wolf that's
Exactly.
angry, you have the wolf that's the light, that's lighthearted, that is that spirit. Which one are you going to feed?
Right.
That's
Right.
grateful, that has all these things. This is gratitude, this is resentful, this is anger, this is hurt, and
Right.
which one are you going to feed?
Right. And that's where this show comes in. When my girlfriend Pat and I, who we started the original show, we were sitting at the beach, sitting on bar stools at the beach overlooking the ocean.
Mhm.
And we looked at each other and we said, we should do a podcast. What are we going to call it? And we were just sitting there looking out at that. We had just had a great few days together, because she lived in Florida. I lived in Chicago. We had been to this great event. We were just having a wonderful time. And it was like, oh yeah, wouldn't this be nice if this was the everyday that we had every day?
Mhm.
And that was the spark of, you know what? Really, when you think about it, you can have it every day. Like the days sometimes when I start to feel that spiral going down a little bit, you can spiral down, you can spiral up, but when you feel yourself start to spiral down, I will turn on YouTube and go to the beach. I turn because there are many, just all it is waves, the soothing music of the waves. And I turn on my sun therapy lamp.
Yep.
Because your brain doesn't know the difference between whether you're actually there or whether you are visualizing it that you're there. So if you like going to the beach on a sunny day, go to the beach on a sunny day. And you can do that every day, and especially now, because we have YouTube and therapy lights.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Put on, even if you have to use, like a Kmart, or Walmart cheapy lamp, put a lamp that it's just shining. Turn, open your windows, go outside, whatever it is. You can do that because your brain doesn't know the difference.
Yep.
So that's my lesson for the day. Just do it. Or put on some dance music if you like to dance. But one of the things of putting on dance music is, like, I have a playlist. When I hear a song that I like, I add it to my playlist.
Yeah.
So, which is cool. And then in the morning when I turn on, I'll hit shuffle. So the playlist just
all songs you like.
randomly plays songs that I have liked.
Yeah.
Well, I can go from listening this morning. I went from listening to the three tenors singing Pavarotti to listening to Blondie. Music can surprise you.
Yeah.
Be open to a surprise. Let life surprise you, and just be open to it. So create a playlist of all the different kinds of songs that you like. So on there is praise and worship songs. It is the old time rock and roll songs. I've got a Bob Seger on there. I've got a CCR on there, and then hit shuffle, because we are in ourselves. So many of us are so programmed that we do the same thing every day. We go we go the same way to work. We come home, we eat the same thing for lunch. We come home, we sit down in front of the TV set. We watch the same shows. We watch the news. Stop watching the news.
Stop watching the news. Yeah.
Stop watching the news. And then we go to bed. And then the next day we do it again.
Yep.
So do things to surprise you. So that's one of the things that I have found that I can do. I put shuffle and it randomly plays all these funky songs. And I mean, I'll go from listening to Blondie to listening to a praise and worship song. And it's so cool because or the twist will come on, or all these great songs that I love the songs. So put them on a playlist.
That's
and
super
then
awesome.
Just hit shuffle. So that, I mean, I think maybe that's our lesson for life. Just hit shuffle once in a while.
Hit shuffle. Play Bob Seger.
Yeah. See what life has for you. Be surprised. Go outside of your comfort zone and just see what's out there. A friend of mine this morning, she said, color outside the box.
Mm.
And one of the things when she said that is sometimes people really don't feel comfortable coloring outside of their box. But at least make sure you're coloring out of somebody else's box of their expectations of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Color outside of that box of what people are expecting you to do. Because it starts a process. So many people are caught up in things that they're doing it just because it's expected of them. Find your own expectations.
Yep.
So anyways.
This has been truly the quickest episode. I looked at the time a little bit ago and I was like, oh my gosh, 11:20 already. How'd that happen?
Okay, it is.
Or 10:20 your time.
It's 10:25. Yeah. Okay. But one thing, yes, and I was going to say, that's why I should have set a timer. But one of the things is just like on the page, if you're listening to this, and thank you so much for listening to this, but on the page somewhere, you'll see a little link that says Aging Gracefully. I have added a free ebook about getting well to that link. And then, so it's a link to my business. It's actually a link to my digital business card, but on there, it says free ebook. Take a look at it. If you have any concerns about your health or something, you just want to read some tips of things that, and it's all about things that they have now proven will help you increase your health.
Yeah.
And then so check it out. So that's something new for me.
And we'll have that info link in our info description on our YouTube page. So it'll always be there. We'll put that up there so you can go on and click on it. Obviously, Barbara talked about in this episode feeling better than she felt when she was 40. And that's a great deal with what you're doing here.
With what I'm doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's we need to. Because one of the things, and I'll leave everybody with this: age is a number on a calendar.
Yeah.
Or a line on a document. It is not who you are.
Yep.
Absolutely. So quit beating yourself up for what you're not, and let's go out and celebrate who you actually are and who you want to become.
Absolutely. I can't say anything better than that. Everybody just have a great killer week. That was awesome.
Thanks. You and I are a great team.
Absolutely. It's why I love Tuesday mornings.
Okay, bye everybody. Have a great week.
Bye everybody.